episode 27 of the Fashion Feed. Today's guest is Sheen from Sheen London, and we're talking about the benefits of not being a perfectionist. Sheena is one of my previous clients, and straight from the discovery call, I knew I would have her on the podcast one day because her story is so inspiring. She's incredibly hardworking, and her passion for the business is unshakable. After studying business at uni and starting a career in fashion styling, Sheena slipped a disc. As a self-confessed hyperactive woman, her mind had to be kept active, so she started selling customised clothing on Depop. In this episode, we discuss Sheen's unusual route to starting a brand, her struggles in finding a manufacturer and picking the right one for you, how she got them to take her seriously in the very first few days, and where she started and her advice on how you can do the same. The journey to go from blogging to selling, and the importance of starting somewhere and taking action to gain clarity. I love the way Sheen approaches things with her positive energy and throws her 100% into everything that she does, and I know you'll find her story inspiring. I can see you with all your nice makeup on.
Had to get dressed up for the occasion, you know.
Yeah, I know. So, welcome Sheena. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Do you prefer Sheena or Sheen?
Either, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
better Sheena, but everyone's always called me Sheen. It's just
Hence, Sheen London.
easier. Yeah, and Sheen London was born.
So, tell everybody a little bit about you, where you're from, what you do.
Okay, I'm Sheena from London, born and brought up here. So I have a small brand, Sheen London, and it's just a little fashion brand, mostly women's wear, but dabble in a bit of menswear as well. And it's all based on sort of quality and design. So I use beautiful fabrics, really good tailoring, and it's all about the sort of shapes and creating things that are long lasting. So comfy, most of it's loungewear, but I do a bit of outerwear as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it.
And I'd say when you said about tailoring, people wouldn't necessarily put tailoring and streetwear together, but like the fit of your joggers especially, I'd say is what you're most known for.
Definitely. So,
yeah. How would you describe them to people on, like, obviously we can't see them.
So
Unless we go on Sheen.London.
Yeah, so they are sort of high-waisted. They've got a really thick, high cinched waistline, so that sort of brings in a little bit of shapewear. It's also got the drawstring and fully elasticated, so it's adjustable. And then they've got an extended length, so you can either kind of bunch it at the end or roll it up, or for tall people it works quite well as well. And they're quite fitted to the leg, and they've got subtle detailing right at the bottom, just an embroidered Sheen London logo across the front of the ankle, and little side pockets are invisible, nice deep side pockets.
Nice. Yeah, I'd say because for me, sometimes if I wear joggers all the time, I just feel like, I don't know, a bit meh. But with your ones, I feel like people look great. Like they really accentuate the figure, don't they?
Definitely. Like I really wanted to include shapewear. In fact, initially that was part of why I designed it, because I spend a lot of time in loungewear. So yeah. I work from home a lot, and there's a lot of things that I do where I just want to be comfy. I hate wearing jeans all the time. I hate pieces of clothing that you just get home and you're desperate to take off. So I wanted to make something that you go out and you feel good, you feel comfy, you're really cozy, but you just look nice. It naturally accentuates all your sort of body shape. So people who want to suck in their waistline a bit, that really helps. Or people like me who I have quite a straight figure, and it kind of gives me a little bit more shape. So it works to your body shape, which is lovely. And it's more just about not feeling that cozy, comfy outfits need to look like you shouldn't leave the house.
And as we always do on this podcast, we're going to rewind right back to the beginning.
Okay.
I know this is why I got you on here, because you've got a bit of a story about how this all came to life. How did you get started?
Oh, I don't know how far back to go, but I mean, I've always loved the whole fashion industry, fashion world. It has been something that I've forever wanted to do. Before I went to uni, it was a choice of doing sort of fashion marketing and business marketing, but I was sort of pushed a bit more towards business and marketing by a lot of people, just because obviously the fashion world's quite intense and not necessarily the easiest thing to do, whereas business and marketing you can kind of apply to anything. So yeah, at uni I was just kind of, I didn't really like the normal clothing. I didn't really like, you buy things and it was like you walk into uni and everyone's wearing the same top from Topshop and whatnot. So I used to sort of just like customize my own little bits, nothing crazy. I just like to make things a little bit different. And I found a lot of people loved that. So that was my initial sort of part of being like, actually people see that I have an eye for something a little bit different, not just the normal. Anyway, so fast forward a little bit, uni over, working like normal, and I was really wanting to be a stylist. So that was my dream. So I was mostly just freelancing for free. It was just to build on my experience and get to know the industry. And a little while into it, not that long, maybe 6-7 months, and I slipped a disc in my back, which was the worst thing ever for me, because it just meant I literally couldn't move. I was flat on my back for, I think it was 6 months. I couldn't drive, I couldn't stand, I couldn't do anything. It was a nightmare. And I think the worst bit for me was that I was told it was chronic, so I couldn't actually it couldn't be fixed. And I was just devastated. I'm sure anyone would be, especially doing something where I was so on my feet. Because with styling, I guess some days are like 16 hours. It's quite intense on your body. So I stopped that, and while I was lying in my bed staring at the ceiling for many hours of the day
with ADHD,
that's definitely also being part of it. I started customizing my clothes and buying jackets off eBay or Depop or wherever I could find them, sort of vintage type of jackets, and I'd customize them and I'd put them back on Depop. And first one just sold, and to me that was like the big achievement, that actually it was quite different what I did to it. I used to sort of print out images that I'd taken onto canvas, stitch them onto the jackets, cut bits here and there, like make them a little bit different. And after that one sold, I was determined. I was like, right, I can do this. I'm going to make something of this, but I don't want to be using anyone else's pieces. It needs to be, everything is mine. I don't want to sell something that's as mine when it's not really. So at that point, that's when I decided, right, Sheen London is going to be a proper brand. I'm going to manufacture and start from the beginning. So I reached out to a lot of people, and I think at that point I didn't really have anything to show for what I was doing as such, and also with no knowledge and no background in fashion, I think people just didn't take me seriously. So trying to get any help with just even where to start, someone to manufacture, someone to make a sample, it was a nightmare. So I just took to Google. I decided that was it. I've got to just go to Google and find out what I can find, and just basically go with it. I saved a bit of money and found someone to make my sample for me, which was a nightmare. I ended up spending £500. So spent 500 quid, had a sample. I did quite like it, but it was in a discontinued fabric, which was my first downfall. And then a lot of money. Then again, using Google and anyone I could find, found a manufacturer and just basically found someone who would sort of take me under their wing. I was back at work now, so months and months had passed doing all of this, and I was back at work, and I used to just go to the factory every day after work and sort of learn anything I could. I got 50 pieces made, 50 tracksuits, 100 pieces made with them, and then that was it. I put them online and they started selling. So that was it. That was my
because there was one point as well, because you also like look after some of your family members as well, don't you, part-time? And then you've also, what do you do for a living? You're a social media manager, right?
So yeah, I run the sort of marketing, digital website, social media for a diamond jewelry company. And
Yeah.
I've done that for, I think this will be my 4th year. So I've done that for a long time.
So you understood like how to sell something online, I guess, which is a good into fashion marketing.
Yeah.
But then also there was this other thing that you told me when you were so bored at home that you asked your boss to come and collect you and you lay under your desk.
Yeah, that happened.
Because you were like, I just need to listen to work people talking.
Oh God, yeah, I just hated being home. It was so difficult to be at home and helpless. Like I remember there was a day I was lying in my bed and I dropped my phone on the floor and that was it. No phone, no human interaction until someone came home in the evening, and it was literally staring at the ceiling for 6 hours. And I can't, like I have so much energy all the time. So yeah, I used to ring my boss, and bless them, they were so good to me. They'd come to my house and sort of shovel me into the back of the car lying flat and then shovel me into my workplace, and under my desk I had blankets and pillows, and I'd just lie there, and people would come and talk to me and I'd pretend like it was a normal working day. It was just normal for me at this point. I was lying flat on the floor with my laptop, and people coming back and forth from my desk. To be honest, I quite enjoyed it. They would bring me tea and biscuits, anything I wanted. So
That is so cute. I was like, I thought you were joking when you first told me the story. I was like, what, like? I don't know, I couldn't even imagine it. You're like, no, when I say I lay under my desk, like I literally lay under it.
No, there was nowhere else really. So it was just under the desk, a nice little cove, and we had a work dog as well. So he would come and sit with me, which was really cute. And I think, if you're quite a busy person to be bedbound, you'll do anything to get out of there.
Yeah. And so, how long after the slipped disc did you start contacting the factories?
I think it must have been about 5 or 6 months, because it took me a long time. Bearing in mind, I didn't know how to sort of sketch something. I didn't know what a tech pack was. I didn't know how to get samples of fabrics. It was literally just, everything was a learning curve. So I was going online and ordering as many swatches of samples as I could, like physically just drawing sketches, which I still do, of anything I could, like just fleshing out a drawing to the point that I think someone can understand it, and putting measurements on there. And so it did take a while, because that process takes a while anyway. So doing it the first time and not doing it essentially the correct way, I guess, the way you should be doing it did take a little while. But 6 months I'd say down the line, I then managed to get in with this manufacturing company, who had also told me, it will be 2 weeks. And then when I actually got to the point of being like, okay, I can pay today, they were like, oh no, it's now changed to, I think it was 8 weeks. So everything I had planned, I thought, okay, so if you've told me this and this is going to take a week, you kind of just believe it, because you don't really know not to. And every single point of the process, 1 week would turn into 3 would turn into 6 would turn into 12. It's just the way it is, I think.
Yeah, it's really hard to plan anything. And also, when you were saying you felt like you didn't know what you were talking about, therefore they didn't take you seriously. And then maybe they thought you weren't taking it seriously as well. Like if you didn't have a tech pack, or like, so they'll be like, oh, she's happy to wait. But like you say, unless you expressly say, I am not happy to wait for this, they kind of just put you to the bottom of the pile. And
and I think by the time I was with the manufacturer and I was going in, and they could see how serious I was, and I was a bit more aware of sort of what you need to say to kind of make them understand, it became easier at that point, because they then did push things forward, and they knew when to contact me, what about, and when I give sort of ideas of what deadlines I have, they would actually work with me towards it, because it was like the personal relationship was there. And they could understand at this point that, okay, I might not know the lingo, but I do know what I want and how I'm going to get it. And like I'm ready to sort of make this happen. And that was kind of the turning point where things started getting a bit more serious.
Yeah, and I like that you said, oh, I went there after work and you did these long days, because I don't want to say to people like, you can take it easy. You know, you see a lot of things online that's like, just take it slow, take it in your own time. And it's like, yes, to an extent, but at the beginning, you've got to work so hard to get that momentum and get it off the ground. And I think I saw that in you, that you just worked your arse off basically to get it going. And I think if you take it too slowly, it's very hard to build up that momentum.
I think so. I think it also, in a way, although I hated that no one would help me and no one would take me seriously, it kind of did give me that push to be like, right, okay, no one's going to help me, just do it. Let's just go for it, get what you can done. And yes, that first bit of investment will be a bit of a risk and it might not go 100% to plan, but at least you've tried. And that either then becomes, okay, you tried and it didn't work, or it becomes, okay, I know what to do better next time. And that was that was my sort of driving force. I was ready to do it. I was really excited about it. And I think you do lose excitement if it takes too long and you just keep getting rejected, but you can use that rejection as a bit of motivation. And just that was like why I was so keen to go there every day. I was knackered. I don't get it wasn't easy. I was absolutely knackered because I was really trying to be normal at work as well. I really wanted to get back into my proper routine, working full time, and I couldn't let that go. I didn't want to let them down and just be tired all the time, not doing things properly. So it was very much like, do your best in every moment of the day, and when you get there in the evening, you're there by option, but you're excited to learn. So being there, even though you're knackered, you're kind of like, this is my only opportunity. And I was very lucky that we had that click and connection. They were happy to help me to learn, because not everyone will do that. It does take time for them as well. But I think it's what you just said, they saw that in me. They were like, she's really she really wants it.
Like she is not going home until she gets these samples.
And it was nice because I think the dad who originally had opened the company, he was quite old, and he said, you know, I love, this is what I thrive off. I love that you want to learn, and I love sort of passing on my knowledge and whatnot. So it worked nicely both ways. And
and I guess you were lucky in that sense, but equally, to some extent, I don't believe in luck sometimes, because like you've got to create the opportunity to find it in the first place. And I'm sure you spent hours and hours and hours and hours on Google going to meet lots of people to find that person.
I had to trawl through quite a few, and I'm also a gut feeling type of person. So when I'd speak to manufacturers that had this sort of tone of it's my way or no way, I was like, okay, bye. I'm doing that, especially when I'm about to turn up with a sketch and a sample that only God knows if it's right or not. I didn't even know what I was bringing forward to them was going to work for what I actually wanted it to work for. I was really unsure at this point, so I really needed someone who sounded also happy to kind of work with me.
I do always liken searching for a factory like dating, or like even just a friendship or relationship, or somebody that you're hiring into your business, because that's kind of what you're doing, is hiring him into Sheen London, he's hiring you into his factory. And so you have got to get on, you have got to be able to have a working relationship. And then what was the next stage after that? So you said you put them onto, what platform did you put them on?
So I made a website, which is still the website I use now. I literally, again, it was more of a thing where just do something, just try, just get it out there. And I made the website myself, put them online, put them on Depop. Where else did I go? I did, in the first couple of months, I did a little pop-up. It was just a rail, but it just helped to get it out there. People see the brand name, and I wanted to see what people's reactions were when they felt it, because that for me was a huge thing. It was like a huge decision for me to spend so much on getting the quality that I was getting. The fabrics weren't cheap, and I needed to kind of decide where I wanted to sit in the market. And when I saw how people were reacting to it, that really helped me. So a pop-up shop, website, and Instagram was massively helpful to me, because again, it was another thing that I thought, I'm going to start it before I have anything to sell, really. Just to, you can kind of put your vision on there and get people excited about what's to come. And I found a lot of people on there were very eager and ready to see what I brought to the market, and I did get sales through there as well. So yeah, that was it. That's everything I did when I first sort of got them together.
Yeah. And so how did you build up your Instagram in the very beginning? Because I know your following really like to see you, don't they? So did you always
Yes.
put yourself at the front of it? Like you mixed a bit of blogging and a bit of the brand. What did it look like at the beginning?
It was a bit of a choppy, changey process, which is why I'm saying, like, I was quite into just try and test and change as you go along. So when I first started it, I know this might sound a bit strange, but I was almost a little bit embarrassed, I guess, or shy. I was very unsure of what my brand was going to become, and I didn't want everyone to know it was me before I'd really discovered what I am, or who I am, or what my brand is and what I stand for and whatnot. So it was more just a mood board to start with. And it was back when Instagram wanted you to grow. So I literally would have, I think I had like 50 followers or something. And I'd put up a picture and it'd get like 500-600 likes. And it was because you could really sort of get things out there very easily. And with that, I just put things that I liked, the vision that I was sort of putting into the tracksuits, things that really coincided with that. And I didn't do that for long, did that for a few months and built up a tiny little following. And then I realised that people want personality and they really want to know who's behind the brand and who you are. And that's kind of how I went more into a little bit of the blogging side, just because I was a stylist, or that's what I loved, and that's what like my instinct was, to put things out, put outfits together that I loved. And I started doing those styling videos and they were amazing. I got so many interactions from that, and loads of people constantly messaging me. So I thought, okay, if that's what's doing well,
let's do more of that.
It makes sense. So I did that for a little while, and then I didn't really like putting my face on everything. It just wasn't really what I wanted to do, or very natural to me. I did feel a bit awkward in front of the camera, but I just thought, just keep going. If that's what they like, just keep going with it. And then as soon as I brought my pieces out, I just tried to sort of overlap. I wouldn't do anything with other brands anymore, but I would, in my styling videos, have a top that someone else's, but then style it with the joggers that I have, and then base it on the joggers and use a different top, and just do like 3 different ways, or day to night or something like that, but always incorporate my pieces. And then over time, obviously, as people buy, hopefully you get some content from them. So I try and put bits up of how other people wear my pieces, but I still find, even until now, it's more about how I style it, which is not what I planned for, but if, like I said before, if that's what works, that's what I kind of go with. And I think it will again change. It constantly changes, but at the moment that's what works for me, so that's what I go with.
No, I think you've the way you've grown your brand is exactly how I tell people to grow their brand. So it's like JFDI, like, just fucking do it, basically. And try it, and if it works, do it again, and if it doesn't work, think about why it didn't work, and then go again. And you have got to, like, suck up your pride a little bit with this method, and like you say, you do feel a bit shy, but just try it anyway. And when you said as well, like, I don't know, it won't be perfect and it will be a bit of a risk, but you'll always learn something from it. And you said earlier, like, you've just got to keep going, and it will either work or you'll learn something, and they're the two scenarios that will come of it.
And I think I've kind of come away from really caring what someone else thinks of a certain photo or a design or this or that, and it's like, once you kind of overcome the fact that there are billions of people online and there's absolutely zero chance that everyone's going to feel the same way about everything you put out there, that kind of risk doesn't seem such a big risk anymore, because I try and be quite like authentic to what I genuinely want to put out there, rather than, yes, part of obviously what we were just talking about, you have to do what works, but it also has to be quite in line with what you want to do, otherwise you can tell.
Yeah.
It's so easy to tell. So yeah, once I just tried to get over the whole I feel shy about this or that's a risk, and just do rather than think so much, because it gets you somewhere, even if it's exactly the end point that you wanted, it's towards it.
Yeah, you're getting one step closer each time. And I think once you're very aware of what your passion is, I saw something before that was like, are you really going to let what somebody else might or may not think like come into blows with what your destiny is? And it was a bit like woo-woo, but I was like, oh my God, no, I'm absolutely not going to let them. And even if they thought it, the likelihood of me finding out that they think it is pretty like close to zero, really. So then it's like, I'm not going to let what they may or may not think stop me from pursuing my passion.
Sure.
Yeah. And I know we talked before about the idea of perfectionism as well, because
it doesn't exist for me anymore.
No, we've chucked perfectionism out the window, because it is like your worst enemy when it comes to starting a business.
Yeah, great.
And like, obviously you need, like, the very first thing that you said is my brand is all about quality. So you don't let the quality standards slip, but you do. How would you describe
processes are not done in a way that, I think you see how people think things have kind of developed, but behind the scenes, if you see me flying around like drawing a sketch on a piece of paper in the like, honestly, my drawings, it looks like a 2-year-old did it, and then running into the factory and giving all these opinions and flying back home, packing up parcels, running to the post office, putting some makeup on, take a picture of myself. And it's like, it's such, in my head, it's haywire, it's an absolute shambles. But like you said, it will always get me to that end point of keeping in line with how, like, the quality that I want to produce. And my end point is always bringing out something that I love. I do not like to bring out something that I'm half okay with, but I also understand that might not be exactly the plan. So I don't think I'll explain that very well.
No, I think you have, because like the end point is where you want to get to, but the way you get there isn't always like the ideal way, like the most structured way or the most clean
being
way.
okay with that, I think, is the best thing, because you figure out a lot more of what you need to be doing by doing it in not the most perfect way. And I also think other people warm to that as well. So if I was looking for a specific zip at one point, and I went to so many people, and it was probably not the best way to do it, just ringing around and doing whatever and not really knowing who I wanted to contact. But I found that by doing that, they were like, we're not the right people, but I think this person can help you and this person can help you. And like, by just really trying, I actually managed to understand what I should have done from the beginning, and that really helped, and I ended up achieving what I wanted to achieve. But it was a zigzag method to getting to that point. And if I didn't just try and I just sat at home wondering how the professionals might have done this, I would never have achieved it, full stop. So
that's exactly how they would do it, really. They'd ring one person that they do know. Like, even at the moment, somebody's asked me, do I know where I can get this certain thing dyed? And I was like, I don't, but I'll ask my friend. And she said, oh, I don't, but I'll ask my friend. And that is genuinely how it works. And like, you just keep asking, and you will get there.
Someone will have an answer somewhere.
And I think that is what you've got, is like a lot of determination and perseverance, that you just don't give up until you get there. Which is what you need. I'd say persistence is like everything when it comes to starting a business. Like, just, you will have crap days, but on the days where you've got all the energy, just like fire everything you've got at it. And
and a bit more confidence as well. I think the more you try, the more you understand, the more you can actually try again next time with a much better mindset of being like, right, I know how to handle it this time, and it just makes things a lot quicker. So yeah, I think having confidence alongside the persistence, it's like that thing, fake it till you make it. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
if you like what I was saying about the beginning of my journey, if I had gone with more of an approach of I know what I'm talking about, it might have been actually a little bit easier. But I went with the approach of I don't know what I'm talking about, please help.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, now it's changed a little bit and a bit more confident, and I think you can't find the answer a bit quicker as well, because you're able to just say, right, I'm going to give this a go.
And so what does your brand look and feel like now? Because that was how long ago? Like 18 months ago that you started? 2 years?
Yeah, less than 2 years. I think it was, I think it was done November 18 was when my manufacturing was complete and it was ready for market. So yeah, a year and a half, I'd say. And now, so yeah, obviously continuous development. And I still feel now that I'm still finding my feet and constantly developing as a brand, but I still very much stick with quality and design, which I have done from day one, and that won't change. I think my colour palette has probably adapted a bit more. I'm very neutral. I love a neutral. And whereas before I kind of wanted to dabble in a bit more sort of colour here and there, but I find that I'm very neutral. Quality is 100% still number one, and I just adapt sort of the pieces now from like that first tracksuit, which is still till today my bestseller. But I've just released another tracksuit which is sort of like an adaptation of that. It is very different. Now, everyone that's bought it, not everyone, a lot of people that have bought it have the first tracksuit too. It's still very different, but it's along those lines of you've got the comfort bit of shapewear, good quality, long lasting, neutral colours, and that's that's sort of my bubble that I stick in.
And you're looking at working with new manufacturers as well now with the help of your dad, which is very it's so nice that he's like really like jumped in 2 feet, hasn't he?
Yeah, so he had back in, I think it was last year, what my prices were here, and he was mortified as but my whole aim when I did that first lot of manufacturing was not I need to be in profits in 2 weeks. It was very much I need to learn what my audience like. I need to know if my sort of vision is going to work. I need to understand the manufacturing process, all of these things. So it wasn't about profit for me, and what I wanted out of that time I did get. So I looked at it more of an investment that I'm going to make my money back.
Broke even. It's not like you lost money from it. It was just like it's got to pay for itself to be able to learn.
Definitely. So it was, I'm not going to end up in minus, but I'm not going to profit from this time. I'm going to gain a lot of other things. So when I told my dad, he was mortified. And he said, please just let me get involved a bit and get in touch with some factories in India, which is obviously where we're from, and I'll sort of let you know the next steps and we'll try and get this into process. So I gave him a tracksuit and I said, just match it. If you get as close as you can, bring it back to me. Let's just see how that goes. Because with a sample, you're already a good step in. So he went over there, which he does anyway, and he spoke to a lot of factories which want huge numbers. But again, it was that making that personal connection with someone. So he spoke to a factory there who I also FaceTimed and just like had a chat with them and explained, this is where I'm at and this is where I'm hoping to be, and I need someone who's happy with these sort of numbers, and it will be quite continuous, but it's not going to be 5,000 every week or so.
Not
yet. Then they recreated it for me. He sent it back here and I went around to the tailors that I trust in the UK just to get their opinion on how it was stitched, compare like for like. And everyone I went to was like, these tailors are amazing.
Yeah.
They have really, like, this is an amazing job. And I didn't have one negative bit of feedback on how they'd put it together. And yeah, so I then thought, why not? It'll bring my cost down. But I felt that I wanted to just keep sourcing the fabric myself. It was kind of like one step in the right direction.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gave them the fabric and they put everything together for me, and then the next few pieces they sourced the fabrics and we went back and forth that way. And actually I found the time is no different. It doesn't take longer. They work quicker there. I don't know what the reasoning is, but I found that even with getting it over there and getting it back here, it was still quicker, and their skill level is amazing. Obviously it's not going to be the same everywhere, but I'm lucky to have someone who's, yeah, they're super skilled. They're really sort of invested in the business. They're constantly like ready to go and ready to also experiment, because I'm trying new things myself. I'm like, I'm not sure if that will work, and I don't have that background to be like, okay, well actually no, you couldn't put that pocket there, or this will come in the way of this, or whatnot. They help with that as well, because they're quite invested in sort of making this work too, which is nice. And yeah, that's where I'm at the minute with them. I'm really happy. And they're ticking every box really, so hopefully that continues to work nicely.
I love that your dad was just like, let me help you. I don't know if my dad would be the same, but like he's got his little creativity like fix from your brand, which is cute.
Yeah, no, he loves it. He loves watching it. He's seen the struggle, so he's like, if there's anything I can do to help. And he's over there a lot as well, which helps. So he just pops in, and I think I've said this, but I'm all about like looking after everyone. I really want everyone to be happy. I can't stand the thought of any sort of labor being done over there that they don't feel rewarded for. So he goes over there and he helps them out with things sometimes, or he'll just ring them and say, what day are you doing this? And he'll go and sit with them and spend the day with them and have lunch and whatnot, and he just keeps an eye on everything, makes sure everyone's happy. And yeah, he's great. Like don't think I would have been able to build this type of relationship. I also don't speak the language and he does, and they speak English as well, but being their second language, it's obviously sometimes communication can be a bit tough. So he's unreal, literally just hops over there, goes to the factory. It's not close by to where he stays either, it's a couple of hours away. So he does a lot for me. I'm very lucky to have someone who really actually wants to help me to get there, because it has brought my manufacturing process on like leaps and bounds, literally.
And so what advice would you give to somebody, because I know when you talk about the whole process behind your brand, it gets loads of engagement. I feel like people do look at you as somebody who is willing to help them.
Always.
Yeah. So what advice would you give on here to people who are looking to start a brand, or have started it within the last sort of year and feel like they're winging it?
Which I still am too, just going
I feel like everyone is.
But I say my personal advice is just do it. Just start somewhere. I think the worst thing you can do is just spend months and months and end up being years of time investing into something that, like you said earlier about being a perfectionist, that you just need it to be perfect before you put it out there. I think that's a really rookie road to go down, because you aren't able to really learn from your audience. So I would say just go for it. Try something. Start an Instagram page like I did, start doing, even if it's just a mood board. Speak to people, speak to as many people as you can. Like me, I constantly say, approach me if there's anything I can help with, or I do know, I will always try and help, because I don't want people to go through that struggle. It's such a waste of time. Like, what is the point in us all going through that same struggle? And I kind of hope that other brands do feel the same. So keep reaching out and just keep asking people. I always even send out the manufacturing list that I managed to kind of put together over the time that I learn, and that's a good step in the right direction. Then start ringing around, just do something.
And I like that you always say ringing and not emailing. And that is like so important, because I think that's another reason why your relationships have been good with factories, is because you bring them and go and visit them. And the
And
amount
find
of
a name. Always find a
find a
name.
name, yes, get a name. And you do have to get a little bit Del Boy.
Yeah.
Yes.
LinkedIn.
Like, hi, so and so, like, and build up a bit of that banter, even though I hate that word, but a bit of a relationship. But you can only do that when you're talking, and that's why I liken it to dating. Like, you wouldn't marry somebody that you'd only messaged on Tinder. Like, of course you would go and meet them, and of course you would speak to them on the phone before you make any kind of commitment. So
no, definitely. And I think when you ring, your personality comes across a little bit, and they warm to that. They want that. Like, that's how I did it. They literally, I just was super honest and just told them what I'd done, where I was at now, and what I needed. And if they thought that it was something they could help with, they'd really warm to that. So yeah, definitely ring around, just find a name and a contact and keep going, or even like knock on the door, literally. Unexpected visitor. But yeah, even more so than ringing, I chose a factory that was quite near to my workplace because I knew I'd have to go there. So that was also a factor. And the day that I spoke to them, I literally was like, oh, I'm just going to pop by. If you're open, they were like, yeah, we'll be here till 7. And I think I got there at 6:30, had a walk around of the shop, and we ended up sitting chatting for another 2 hours after they'd closed. And that for me was like, okay, you're invested, I'm invested, let's do this. So yeah, just get yourself out there, speak to people, and that's you can't lose anything by doing that.
Yeah, that's true. That's free to set up an Instagram page and ring around a few factories. Like, that will literally cost you nothing. And if
you've got pieces already, I would say just set up a website. You don't need to invest a lot of money into things that might change. Like, I'm at a point now where I'd like to have a new website, and I'm looking for like a developer, and I want to do that. But for the last year, I've had a website that I physically just put together myself for free, and it's worked fine. As long as it's easy to navigate, you don't need to have a big fancy thing. It needs to be something that is just usable. I mean,
you've done well at that, of like setting it up on a budget and not just throwing money at it. To like, you focus more on the product and the Instagram, and then made sure the other stuff was functional, and that's fine.
Yeah, all the money I invested at the beginning was just to get the product right. Everything else that I knew I could do, like Instagram, photography, website, everything I could do myself, I did do myself. I felt, for me, my product is 100% the most important thing, because it sells itself. And I literally, my returns rate is ridiculously low. I barely get any returns, because when people get the product and they try it on, they can feel the quality, and everything that I've talked about and shown about the brand, it's actually real. I'm not trying to sell it. It's sort of like, it's the truth.
Like, you can see it yourself. And where do you want it to go? Like, what's the dream for it? Let's put it out into the universe.
Into existence.
So
I guess there's a few retailers that I'd love to get into. Obviously I'm not ready yet, but places somewhere like Flannels or something like that, that's my dream store. Just walk in and everything is just set up so beautifully. Everything you touch, you're like, oh, this is dreamy. Like, you can feel the quality. It just like oozes that like lovely feeling of, I want to be part of this. And that's kind of like what I feel with my brand. So I'd love to do that. I'd actually love, in the distant future, I've spoken to a few people about this, and it's in my line, but I'd love to get a few trainers made. I'd love to get into a bit of footwear as well, which is on the cards for the future, but not yet. And just
I can totally imagine you doing that. I feel like every time we met, we always spoke about trainers and like your passion for it, and how much your audience love your taste in trainers as well. So
it goes really well, like hand in hand with a lot of pieces that I have. So once I conquer my area of the market and hopefully grow over the next few years, I'd like to expand into a few different avenues. But I'd like to get into some retailers, because I don't have anything out there physically. I've done the odd pop-up here and there, but I find that when people touch, it sells, and I think that'd be lovely to have a nice setup somewhere in a physical store. And yeah, that's it.
Wow, now it's going to happen because you've said it. This is like the little dream factory, like you put it out and it happens. Yeah. Oh, and where can people find you if they want to come and have a look at your tracksuits or just come and chat with you? What's the easiest way to get in touch?
So the best way is Instagram. I'm always on there, and always my DMs are always open. So I love to talk to people, and that is Sheen SHEEN.LDN. And if you want to have a look at my products, you can go straight to my website, which is sheenlondon.co.uk.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you wanted to share, or do you feel like?
No, I think we've covered a lot.
Okay, cool.
Well,
thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have 1 minute spare, it would mean the world to me if you could head over to Apple Podcasts to leave a short review so that more people can discover the podcast and listen to interviews with inspiring guests in the fashion industry. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you join me for the next episode.